Okay. Good afternoon. Lyle Cheatham. I'm going to be calling the County Employee Retirement Finance Committee meeting to order. Sherry, if you, or excuse me, there's a legal statement I believe that we need to read, Eric.
Yes. This is a special meeting of the County Employees Retirement System Finance Committee. This meeting is being broadcast via video teleconference pursuant to KRS 61.826 and may be viewed by the public at the Kentucky Public Pensions Authority offices located at 1260 Louisville Road in Frankfort, Kentucky. It is also being broadcast to the public live via Facebook. If you are speaking and are not appearing by video, please identify yourself before talking. If the video or audio broadcast is interrupted, we will attempt to reestablish a connection. If a connection cannot be reestablished within 30 minutes, the meeting will be adjourned and rescheduled to a later date.
Okay. That, Sherry, if you don't mind, call the roll, please.
Yes, sir. Mr. Cheatham?
Here.
Mr. Fulkerson?
Here.
Ms. Pendergrass?
Here.
Mr. O'Mara? And Mr. Powell? Thank you.
Being a quorum present, we'll go ahead and move forward. Sherry, I think you indicated there's no public comment. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Okay. You had distributed in your packets a set of minutes from the February, I believe, 19th meeting. Are there any additions, changes, or deletions that need to be made? If not, I'll entertain a motion to accept as presented.
So moved.
I'll second.
A motion and a second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Ayes have it. With that, we'll move on to the next item on the agenda, which is the finance reports. I believe, Mike.
I'm here. Thank you. Sherry, if you want to look at near the bottom of page 6.
There you are. I lost you.
Yeah, sorry about that. I'm in the boardroom.
Yeah.
You'll see that the total fiduciary net position for the 2C pension plans at the end of the third quarter was $12.9 billion. That's up 13.45% from the third quarter of fiscal year 23. This is $1.5 billion higher and is driven by an overall increase in the investments at fair value, which are 13.3%, or also $1.5 billion higher than they were 1 year ago. This is predominantly in the public equities investment asset class, which is up 19.45%, or $1.1 million. If you scroll down to page 7 on the statement of changes, also near the bottom, you'll see the increase in fiduciary net position for the 9 months ended 3/31 is $1.1 billion. Up a couple rows there, Sherry, if you want to point. Yep, right there. So that $1.1 billion compared to the prior year amount of $631 million is $499 million, or 79.13% higher. I'm going to have you skip to page 10, which is the contribution report for the pension systems, or the pension plans. The net contribution line shows that the C non-haz plan and the C hazardous plan reported positive net contributions of $80.7 million and $71.5 million, respectively, for the 9 months ended 3/31. The non-hazardous plan has total inflows from all areas of $820.7 million. That's $79.8 million higher over the prior year amount of $740. That's most notably in employer contributions, which are $44.3 million, or 9.59% more than the prior year. That increase is driven by a 6.4% increase in employee salaries, as well as an increase in actual members. The member count for C non-hazardous increased by 3,179 when compared to year to year. And the C non-hazardous members, the C hazardous members are also up slightly, 130. So that explains the comparison in the member contributions for the hazardous and non-hazardous. Excuse me, that's the member contributions for the non-hazardous. The hazardous plan had inflows of 335 million, which is an increase of 32.8 million. The largest increase also being in the line item employer contributions, $16.5 million higher, and that increase is due to employee salaries and headcount. Like I said, the headcount for hazardous went up 130. The outflows for both of these plans were higher than the prior year, related to more benefit payments and refunds. The unrealized gains for both the non-haz and the haz plan were positive 623.1 million and 220.2 million. If we remove the net investment income of 155 million and 55.4 million for both plans, we see in the bottom chart that the net contributions or the cash flow is negative 74.3 million for the non-hazardous plan and positive 16.1 million for the hazardous plan. So that's the pension statements. I'm going to move to the insurance statements. Sherry, if you go back to page 8.
Before you leave page 10, I've got a technical question on how we calculate a number there. That very bottom line, yield as a percentage of assets, does that yield include net investment income, realized gain, and or unrealized gain, or just some of those?
I think that yield is not taken into consideration, but I'm gonna have to look at the calculation of that and tell you what's
Okay,
included. Can I do that and email you afterwards?
sure, that's fine, because it's just a technical question. Thanks.
Sorry. If I had my laptop, I'd be able to show you the formula, but I don't have it. All right,
Well,
so
that's okay, it's no big deal.
bottom of page 8 for the insurance statements. The net position for the 2C plans at the end of Q3 is 5.3 billion, which is up 11.42%. This is $542 million higher and is driven by the overall increase in investments at fair value, which are 11.91% higher. This is in the public equities investment class, which is up 17.82%. If you move on to page 9, near the bottom, you'll see the increase in fiduciary net position for the 9 months is 387 million, and compared to the prior year of 262 million, that's 124 million dollars higher. Now, if I go to page 11, this is the contribution reports for the insurance plans. This will show you that the C non-hazardous plan showed a positive net contribution of 3 million, and the C hazardous plan shows a negative 20.2 million. If we take out the net investment income of 58.6 million and 27.2 million, you can see the bottom chart cash flow net contributions are negative 55.6 in the non-haz and negative 52.4 in the hazardous. The non-hazardous insurance has $69.8 million less in employer contributions when compared year to year, offset by an increase in the Humana gain share of 4.5 million, and their hazardous plan has $19 million less in employer contributions, offset by an increase of 700,000. Again, those employer contributions are less due to these two plans being fully funded. Sherry, I'm going to have you jump around again. I apologize. I think these got put in wrong order, but on page 16 are the outstanding invoices by type. So for March 31, there's $3.6 million in outstanding invoices. That's 14% higher than the balance at 12/31/2023. The top 10 employers are listed there, and the top 5, they all have 3 stars by them, or at least the top 4 do, and that means that they're being pursued through legal action, either turned over to legal or being pursued in the courts. And Kentucky River Regional Jail is mostly due to omitted employer. City of Covington is pension spiking and reinstatement. Kenton County is pension spiking. Fort Thomas is pension spiking. And TARC, which is the Transit Authority of River City, is pension spiking. The next 3 pages, 17 and 18 and 19, show us the penalty invoices for the quarter. We had 9 of them that were waived, totaling $9,000. In total, there was 56 penalty invoices created, totaling $56,000, and 35 of those were paid, totaling $35,000.
Mike, I noticed on that list, there seemed to be an awful lot more ambulance services listed than usual. Do you have any idea why?
I don't know why all the ambulance services are in there. Again, they're very small entities, and that minimum amount that we charge for interest is $1,000. And if it's a entity in good standing, and maybe it's their first time, or they have a reporting official that's new, we usually waive the first one. But I will have to get back to you on what happened with all the ambulance services.
Now,
Mike,
I'm just curious if it's 1 or 2, whether there's a lot of services having issues right now. From what I hear out on the street, there seems to be cash crunch going on with a lot of services. I just wondered if we've got a problem doing there.
Mike, I can jump in real quick. This is Dewan Surratt. We have one ambulance service who did not report for a very long time, and they had some records that were lost in a fire. So we are working with that agency currently to catch up records for, I believe it's 4 or 5 years. So that is why you're seeing those penalties hit, because they are now reporting. So each time they report a month, that penalty hits. So that's just one employer that's causing all those late penalties.
Thank you. That's helpful.
Thanks, Dewan.
No problem.
Do we end up waiving those in this particular case?
That's something we can discuss. I haven't discussed that with Rebecca yet, but the agency is trying to catch up. They don't really have the funds to pay all the late invoices, so that's something we'll have to probably have an internal discussion about how we can work with them.
Okay.
Any questions on those statements or invoice reports before I move to the admin budget? All right, Sherry, back to page 12. This is the summary that I started putting together. It's a condensed version of the admin budget, and then it has some of my notes in there. I'm going to go ahead and read through them. Sherry, I might have you drop down to page 13 in just a minute. Under the personnel line item for staffing, we spent $26 million, which is 74.91% of the budget, leaving 25% left for the final quarter. Within this category, which I think if you go down to page 13, it's very likely that the final salaries and wages and FICA may come in slightly over budget for the year. We've had lower than expected turnover over the past 9 months, as well as various position salary adjustments through the personnel cabinet. This potential overspend will be offset by other line items in the category and should bring the total category right in line with the budget at year end. For legal, the hearing officer's line item has exceeded its annual budget as of March by $33,000. This is due to increased pay rate and efforts to clear out our backlog of cases. We are in the process of hiring 2 in-house hearing officers as a strategic measure to improve this process for our members. The Frost Brown Todd line item has also exceeded its annual amount by $65,000 due to increased activity in related ongoing cases. However, other legal line items remain under budget, including SKO, Reinhardt, and Ice Miller, leaving the overall legal category with $430,000 left to spend in this last quarter. And we anticipate this overall subcategory to remain under budget for the year. Auditing, there was a final APA invoice that was not received until May, so it's not in these numbers. That was for $20,000. So for the year, the auditing line item should be $235,000 in total, which is $65,000 under budget. All personnel categories and line items have more than all other personnel category line items have 25% more than 25% left for the final quarter, bringing the total personnel category to $28.3 million for the 9 months, 26.94% left to spend. Overall, this is 7.47% higher than the prior year, and is being driven by the salaries and wages line item. The operational subtotal, if you look at the bottom of page, I think it's 14, yep. It's at $3.8 million with 43.35% budget left to spend. This is $528,000 or 16.1% higher than the prior year. The computer software equipment is 32.2% higher or $519,000 higher than the prior year, but still well under budget, and it should finish the year under budget. Postage is 53.47% or $156,000 higher, and has exceeded its annual budget amount. Part of this is due to the paperless project. We sent out postcards to all of the members related to the paperless project that's ongoing and that's been implemented, and as well as an increase in overall postage rates. So that's what caused that budget to go over a little bit. Total expense prior to reserve is $32.9 million with 29.36% left to spend. It's 8.43% or $2.5 million higher than the prior year. By year end, we anticipate being under budget overall and not having to reach into the reserve. The bottom is the hybrid chart that shows the breakout of these admin costs and how they will be charged, or how they have been charged to the pension plans throughout the year. The next page are the Chase charts, and this shows JP Morgan fees and hard dollar interest earned by month. I did want to point out, if you look at the fees for March versus February, you'll see that they've almost doubled. The state prints our checks for us, and their check printing machine went down. And so Chase had to actually print checks, all of our retiree payment checks in the month of March. They also had to do that in April. And so we get charged, like 3 cents or 5 cents a check, and that's what's driving that increase in March in the fees. And that's all I have.
Mike, just a couple of questions, and I don't expect you to have an answer. I was listening when you were talking about the growth in employer contributions as well as member contributions. Can you, or do you have the ability to look and see where that growth is as far as what employers that's coming from?
I bet we could look at the employer headcounts year to year and see what the increase is, probably specifically if we have that data, so we can look at that for you if you'd like.
I'm just thinking going forward, I don't know everywhere else, but all the local papers down here, the fiscal courts and cities and school boards are setting their budgets, and there's some that have pretty significant pay raises allocated, and just curious to see, number one, where does that shake out, versus one employee versus another, not on an individual basis, but for example, school boards versus city or county or whatever, but how that's going to play out from an actuarial standpoint. When you hand those pay raises out, you don't usually take them back.
Yeah, I think that would be interesting to do and provide to you, so you get a feeling for that. The salaries I looked at in total, they're up 6% year over year, and then the head count for the non-hazardous plan, it went up 3.82% or 3,000 people. But yeah, it would be nice to know if that's in school boards or if that's in counties or cities. I think we could probably get that data for you.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Anybody have any other questions for Mike? Okay, if not, we'll move on to the next item on the agenda. I believe hazardous duty requests, is that correct?
Yes. All right, good afternoon. Today we have 9 positions being requested for hazardous duty. The majority of the requests are police and paramedic positions. We do have 1 senior deputy director position, which is an emergency management director position for Boone County Fiscal Court. KPPA has reviewed the information submitted, and we believe that they do meet statutory guidelines for hazardous duty. Therefore, we request the CERS Finance Committee to approve these and put them forth in front of the CERS Board of Trustees for final approval.
I noticed a couple of those have effective dates back as early as 2020.
Correct. When auditing the accounts, we noticed that certain employees were not in their weren't being reported correctly in their hazardous role. They were in a different position, so therefore the agencies are having to go back and request a retro date for those positions to be approved.
Okay. All right. Anybody have questions on any of these? If not, I'll entertain a motion to approve these hazardous duty.
So moved.
Second.
A motion and a second. Any questions? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? Ayes have it. Requested positions are approved to be forwarded on to the CRS board.
Thank you.
Other financial updates. Steve, I guess this is your chat.
Yes. Yep. Sherry, could you move forward 1 page, please? Thank you. Through the first 3 quarters of the fiscal year, actual expenses have continued to run well below the amount budgeted for the full year, with only 41% of the budget spent year to date. Contracted services expenses remain in line with the budget. I would note that we have continued to experience delays in receiving invoices for BNY, our custodian. So only 2 invoices are reflected as being paid so far this fiscal year. Adjusting for that delay in timing, and approximately 70% of the contractual services budget has been spent year to date, so we're on track with the budget. The largest difference between actual expenses and budgeted continues to be the legal services, where only 23% of the amount budgeted for the year has been spent so far. We do expect legal expenses to increase as litigation activity picks up on a number of cases, and whether that is the final quarter of this fiscal year or into the next fiscal year kind of is dependent on courts and the movement in those cases. Sherry, could you move forward 3 pages, please? Thank you. Fiscal year to date, total investment fees and expenses are running well ahead of the same period last year, but are in line with prior fiscal years. Investment management fees have remained stable across asset classes, with fluctuations driven largely by changes in market values and asset allocations, as those tend to be AUM-based fees. Volatility at the total fee and expense level has been driven by large swings in performance-based fees, with increases as noted in the specialty credit and private equity asset classes, and erosion in the real estate performance fees. We've also seen a sharp rise, as we noted over the last couple of quarters, in the miscellaneous expense category. And that's really for strategies that rely on credit facilities. And given the sharp rise in rates, we noticed the significant increase in those expenses, and those are most notable in specialty credit and real estate. I did also want to note that we're starting to realize the cost benefit of managing more assets in-house, specifically in core fixed income. Fiscal year to date, management fees are $250,000 lower than 2023, despite the significant increase in total market value. And I would note on here, will be corrected, but that $566,000 that's in the miscellaneous fee noted for fiscal year 23 is misclassified and should be included in the investment advisory fee total. That's all I had on the investment budget. Happy to answer any questions.
Back on, let me get back to that page. Page 85, for the legal fees. We have Stoll, Keenan, Ogden in the investment budget and also in the administrative budget. Um,
So
the fees here are for Mayberry. I read in one of the footnotes. I'm just curious about why these costs got classified as an investment expense as opposed to an administrative expense.
I think Michael's on the call. I will let him address that. We receive that breakdown directly from legal and just report the numbers that they provide. But you're correct. That is still Keenan's. They're providing services in the Mayberry case, and that is noted on page 87 on that investment budget services key.
Yes, it is. Yeah, I saw that.
Yes, and so those are classified in the investment budget from us here in legal, primarily because the Mayberry case is, and the Mayberry and related cases stem from an investment related contract. They all stem from the hedge fund investments, and that's what started the litigation, and that's how we have classified that litigation. That's why they're tracked in this budget versus the admin budget.
Okay.
Happy to answer any other questions.
Anybody have anything else? Steve, Mike, thank you for your reports. I don't know, do we need to approve these to send them on to
No,
board or just
no,
no action?
we don't need to approve them.
I didn't think so. All right. Since this is a special call meeting, we can't get into any other business. So with that, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
I'll second.
Got a motion and a second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
We are now adjourned. I do appreciate